Hey, it's number one best-selling author and motivational speaker Erik Qualman. A lot of you, all right?
Yeah,
Want to do that again?
yeah.
Okay, we'll do that again. Sorry, that's hard
like,
to do.
I'm just walking on a weird angle.
I like it. You got to shuffle, baby.
Yeah, I'm like shuffling.
Thank you for joining us for today's 7 super tips from the comic. I was like, don't say Stanley Lee. Stanley. Hey, it's number one best-selling author and motivational speaker Erik Qualman. A lot of you know me as Equalman. I'm super excited about the 7 tips we're going to get from comic writer Stan Lee on today's 7 super tips.
I think whatever you do, you should do what you most want to do and what you're best at. Too many people don't really do what their heart's desire is, but they try to do something else because they think, well, it'll be easier to get a job or to make money. And if that happens, then when you're doing it, you feel like you're working. But if you do what you really want to do, you feel like you're playing. It's easier for you to do. I know I wanted to be a musician when I was young. I'd listen to the radio, I'd hear the big bands, and I'd say, damn, I'd like to be a band leader like Tommy Dorsey. But I had no talent for it. If I had wasted time trying to be a musician, I'd have either been a failure or I'd have been just an ordinary musician. But I love writing also, and it came easier to me. So I figured I'd stay with that. I think you have to do what you do best and what you enjoy, and then you have a better chance. I had done the Fantastic Four and the X-Men, and my publisher said, hey, they're doing well, do another one. So I came up with Spider-Man, and I said to him, I got this great idea. I want to call him Spider-Man, and he's a teenager. So I gave him the idea, and he said, Stan, that is the worst idea I have ever heard. He said, first of all, people hate spiders. You can't call a hero Spider-Man. Secondly, he said, he can't be a teenager. Teenagers are only sidekicks. And finally, he can't have personal problems. Don't you know what a superhero is? So he wouldn't let me do it. One day we had a book we were going to kill called Amazing Fantasy. When you're going to do the last issue, nobody cares what you put in it. Just to get it out of my system, I put Spider-Man in the book, and we sold it. And it was a bestseller. So my publisher called me in a couple of weeks later. He said, Stan, you remember that character, Spider-Man, that you and I liked so much? Why don't you do a series of it? And that's how Spidey was born. Now, with the X-Men, they all have superpowers, but due to their superpowers, the stories were structured in such a way that society began by not understanding them, and then little by little by hating them and fearing them. And we tried to show in the X-Men stories that you can learn to live with whatever makes you different, and to be proud of what makes you different, and to make it an asset rather than a liability. I'm doing what I enjoy doing. It's like other men like to play golf, so they play golf every chance they can. So you don't say to them, how come you're playing golf today? You played last week. It was the same with me. To me, it is such fun creating characters, writing stories, even doing interviews, even though I can't hear most of what the guy says to me. But it's an exciting life, and when you do something that you know the fans seem to enjoy, that gives you such satisfaction you don't want to stop. I have been extremely lucky because I love to write. Well, that isn't true. I hate to write, but it comes easy to me, and I write fast because I don't like to write, and I like to get finished quickly, but I enjoy it after I finish, knowing that I've done it. But I enjoy the people I work with, because I work with writers, with artists, now with directors, producers, and I'm always working in an atmosphere where we're trying to think of what can we do now? What kind of movie can we do? What kind of television show? What kind of book? I've often thought it's really tragic. There are so many people whose jobs are just jobs. I mean, they go to work because they have to make a living, but it's nothing that they really enjoy doing, and that's really most of the world. And I really have a great sympathy for most of the working people. And I'm aware that I'm incredibly lucky because of the work I do, and so is anybody who really enjoys his work, whether he's a shoemaker or a sportsman, anybody. If you enjoy your work, I think that's one of the secrets of some sort of happiness. Nothing has really failed that much. I've been very lucky. As far as mistakes, I've made 1 million of them. I never tried, when I wrote these stories, I never thought to myself, gee, I ought to try to copyright something myself and own it. It always belonged to the company. So from a business point of view, that was a mistake. Although I don't think about that now. I mean, I'm still happy with what I do. But mostly I've just enjoyed everything I've been doing. And I think my professional life has been a source of much pleasure for me. I only know what I enjoy, so every time I've written a story, I've always tried to write the sort of story that I myself would enjoy reading, a story that would interest me while I'm writing it, as I'm waiting to find out what happens next. And I can't know what other people think, but I can know what I think. And I feel I'm not that unusual. If there's a type of story I like, there must be lots of people who like the same type of stories. Therefore, I have always written to please myself, not to please a certain type of audience, because you can't know the audience as well as you know yourself. And if I write a story that I'm enjoying while I'm writing it, and I can't wait to see what happens next, then I'm hoping that a large proportion of the public will feel the same way, and they'll enjoy it too.
Those were 7 super tips from Spider-Man creator Stan Lee. Remember, this show is all about unlocking and unleashing your inner superpower. So just like Spider-Man, we all have it within us, that superpower. So hit that subscribe button below to get the next issue of 7 super tips. Until next time, remember, it's not what you take from the world, it's what you leave behind. Another truck. Truck replaces truck. All right. Thank you for joining us for today's 7 super tips with comic writer Stanley Lee. Stanley. Why would you name your kid Stan if your last name's Lee? Like, Stanley Lee, so Stan Lee. Okay, got it. The team is about to kill me because I keep saying Superman instead of Spider-Man, and we've only got so many windows where it's quiet because we got fire trucks, and also it is quite cold here today. So we're gonna nail it on this take. So just like Spider-Man, we all have it within us, that superpower.
Spider-Man does whatever a spider can.
Yeah, so?
I can think of many things Spider-Man can't do that a spider can. 1, crawl in your ear and die. 2, legally leave Guatemala without a passport.